today, okay, well, first things first, I'm getting ahead of myself. Again, I always do. This is Mel, aka Baby Girl, and welcome back to my wonderful channel where we are a community of beautiful people with common interests, where we can get together and chat about crazy videos. I love getting into the spooky and the mysterious and everything like that. And I know that Unsolved Mysteries
may be able to help solve a mystery.
Premiered again on Netflix, I believe July 31st of either this year or last year. I don't know which. But I have found some unsolved mystery TikToks that I believe you all are going to just absolutely really be interested in hearing. I'm not going to say that you'll love it because some of these stories are absolutely horrific. Some are just unexplained. But let's get into it, right? The disappearance of Jason Jolkowski. In 2001, he was called into work and he was supposed to meet his friend about a 10-minute walk away from his house. Now, his car was in the shop, so he thought, no big deal. I'll go meet my friend at our location where we meet up at, and everything will be fine. It's only a few blocks away, So he didn't sit there and even... He probably didn't put much thought into the walk even, So, right then, in between the time that he left his house, he's never been found since 2001. My daughter was born in 2001.
This is one case that still haunts me. The story of the disappearance of Jason Jolkowski is one of the weirdest things that you'll ever read about, and it's haunting because to this day, this mystery has never been solved. So let's take a look at it. So this is Jason Jolkowski. He was born in 1981 and lived in Omaha, Nebraska all his life. And this story takes place in 2001. So on Wednesday, June 13th, 2001, Jason was called into work early. So initially, Jason planned on walking to his job, which was 4 miles away, due to the fact that his car was in a repair shop that day. But he eventually made plans for a friend to meet him at a high school that was nearby. So this high school, Benson High School in Omaha, Nebraska, was only half a mile from Jason's house. Literally an 8-block walk, and that's where his friend was supposed to meet him. So just take a look at this photo. This is the exact route that Jason was going to take to the high school. It's only a 10-minute walk, and keep in mind, he was about to make this walk in the middle of the morning in broad daylight. In a city like Omaha, Nebraska, where crimes like disappearances and murders don't really happen all that frequently. So at 10:45 a.m. that morning, a neighbor saw Jason helping his younger brother with the trash outside of his home. And at some point right after that, he left to go on this walk to go meet his friend. And during this walk, Jason vanished off the face of the earth. So to this day, no trace of Jason has ever been found. There were no remains ever recovered. Nobody has seen anybody that's ever looked like Jason. Nobody reported seeing somebody being abducted on the day that he went missing. Nobody even reported seeing anything out of the ordinary. It's as if he simply vanished literally into thin air. They even checked the security camera footage from the school that he was supposed to be walking to that day, and the security camera videos showed that Jason never arrived. It was somewhere on that half-a-mile walk when he vanished. Now, Jason's parents have suggested that they believe he may have been abducted and killed, but with no body ever having been found, that theory is just really hard to prove. And yeah, it's been over 20 years since this happened, and no trace of Jason has ever been found. That's why it's a case that will haunt me. I mean, it's just scary to think that you can be making a half-a-mile walk in the middle of the day, in the middle of your city, and go missing, and no one will ever even find a piece of your clothing.
This is the disappearance of Granger Taylor. I'm going to put on my lip gloss while we talk about this Granger Taylor here. This is a Canadian mechanic. And he loved aliens and UFO stories. In fact, he got so infatuated with it all that he actually started to believe that he would one day be abducted. Now, he did a lot of acid before he made these claims. So just watch this video here, this TikTok, and let me know what you guys think about it. And do you ever have those same kind of eerie feelings?
I had gone away to walk aboard an alien spaceship. Okay. Hello, true crimers. This is the strange disappearance of Granger Taylor. Viewer discretion is advised. Granger Taylor was a 32-year-old mechanic, and he lived here in Duncan, British Columbia in Canada. Granger was considered by many to be kind of eccentric. In particular, he seemed to be obsessed with aliens and UFOs, to a point where he actually built himself a replica UFO. He told people that he was in communication with aliens. Granger was considered a very intelligent person. He was actually considered to be a genius. He actually rebuilt an old World War II plane. So while many people looked at him as this really intelligent guy, there was also this kind of bizarre side to him. You know, was anyone really supposed to take him seriously when he's talking about communicating with aliens? I was reading that he did experiment a lot with drugs. In particular, I guess he did a lot of acid, especially in the months leading up to what eventually would happen. It was November 29th, 1980. It was actually a really, really stormy night. Granger had been at, I guess, a local diner there, and he was last seen leaving it sometime around 6:30 p.m. And then he was never seen again. The next morning, his parents woke up and they found a note taped to their bedroom door. The note reads, "Dear Mother and Father, I have gone away to walk aboard an alien spaceship. As reoccurring dreams assured a 42-month interstellar voyage to explore the vast universe, then return. I am leaving behind all my possessions to you, as I will no longer require the use of any. Please use the instructions in my will as a guide to help. Love, Granger." Now, in his will, he actually made a couple changes. He changed the word death to the word departure, and he deleted from the will any mention of the word funeral. They would report him missing, but they had no luck finding him anywhere. He has never been seen again. Even after that 42-month period where he said he would be going on this space travel thing, he never came back. Not one single report of a sighting of him has ever come in. There's been no tips, no leads. He's just gone. Except. So he disappears in 1980. 6 years later, in 1986, in a wooded area near Mount Provo, which is kind of close to where the Taylor house was, they found the completely destroyed and burnt out remains of a truck. Now, Granger's truck that he drove was also missing when he disappeared. It appeared the vehicle had been completely blown apart, possibly with dynamite. Dynamite was missing from the Taylor property. I guess for some reason they had some there. They did find some identification numbers on the wreckage, and they were able to link it to the missing Datsun pickup truck that Granger drove. So that was his truck. Now, reportedly, they also found a couple bone fragments and a little ripped off piece of a shirt that I guess they would somehow say was a shirt that Granger owned, even with just that little tiny piece of it. When the pathologists got those bones, they just basically said, yeah, they're Granger's bones. But DNA testing was not really a thing at that point. And from what I understand, in the years since, they've lost those bones. They're now gone. They're missing. So they've never been able to confirm that those tiny bone fragments actually were Granger's. Over the years, a couple of his friends would say that there is this belief that possibly he was kidnapped by the US government to work at Area 51. Maybe he was actually abducted by aliens. But some of his friends and family say this is done, it's over with. They found his truck and they found his bone fragments. It's gotta be him, we're moving on. And so ultimately, what happened to Granger Taylor? What did he do that day that he disappeared? Did he blow himself up? Was that scene staged to look like he did? Was he taken by aliens? The creepy truth of the matter is we will probably never know what really happened to Granger Taylor.
Jared Negrete. Now, he vanished in thin air. Get this. While on a hike in 1991, he was on a Boy Scout trip. Boy Scout leader and the other Boy Scouts all walked ahead of him and kept walking. Why, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, when they finally decided to go back and check up on poor Jared, he had vanished into thin air, basically. Well, probably not, because you guys probably weren't paying attention enough to see what happened. But that just blows my mind. How are you going to take a bunch of children out there to hike in the woods and not keep close eye on every single one of them? I would be in the back of the group. I would have more than one chaperone. I know that. So we could have adults in the front, back, and in the middle even, to make sure that these kids were on the hike safe. But then again, who knows if you've got the staff for all that and everything else. So there's a lot of things I'm sure that come into play. It's just very saddening to hear a story like this, you know?
Just trust me, you'll be fine.
Search for a missing young girl. She yells help from the basement, or so they thought. Now, a 13-year-old girl went missing after she got off of the school bus one day. And then people that were searching for her, you can hear it in the video. Someone yells help, and I'm down here in the basement or something similar to that. But they later on discredited that, so I guess it wasn't her, and she's still to this day missing. But it's crazy though, who would just be help, I'm in the basement? And it would be a really sick joke if they were just playing around too, you know?
Don't be alarmed, don't be alarmed, don't be alarmed. Oh, you scared me. That's what I said, don't be alarmed. I'm looking for my cousin that's missing. She's a 13-year-old girl. And somebody told me that she might be in this area. So I'm not trying to scare y'all. I'm just looking for my cousin. Naziah Harris. Thank you very much.
On January 9th, 2024, 13-year-old Naziah Harris stepped off a school bus at the intersection of 3 Mile and Cornwall. She never made it home that day. Naziah was a student at J.E. Clark Preparatory Academy, and there have been no leads in her disappearance. Naziah is described as 5 feet 2 inches tall, weighing 130 pounds. She was last seen wearing a light blue jean shirt, light blue jean pants, a pink and white Rugrats coat with a fur collar, and blue and white Nike gym shoes. For several months, her family and the police have been searching for her, raising awareness through social media. This is when things took a spooky turn. During a search, a friend of a family member who had been asked to help with the case discovered a sneaker and reported it to the police. The shoe was handed over to the authorities for DNA testing, and they began to wait for the test results. Fast forward to now, it has been confirmed that the sneaker indeed belonged to Naziah.
Situation about some shoes that came about, right? Well, there was an investigation going on by a church. Remember, there was 9 different precincts investigating by the church. Well, I was live on the scene that day, and it was a lot of information being said on my live. They told me to shut my live down and go live somewhere else, right? Because the information being shut, right? So I went live. The somewhere else was across the street. Me and Roxy went live, and we found a pair of shoes, right? So we went live on a pair of shoes, and then the police called me back and said, "Hey, well, where are those shoes at? What's going on with the shoes?" I said, "Well, we're right across the street." So they said, "Where you at?" So we waited there for an hour, waiting for them to pull up. They didn't show up. Long story short, they went and recovered the shoes, and I found out, I got intel about 2.5 months later that they did an investigation on the shoes, a DNA test on the sweat, and they found out that those were actually her shoes after they did a DNA test on the sweat from the shoes, right? So there's a lot of things that are probably going to connect the dots.
A video began going viral on TikTok, showing a group of teenage boys searching for Naziah. As they walked, calling out her name, a female voice suddenly responded.
pedophile.
Somebody go look around.
She said she's right here.
Somebody go look around.
She said she's right here. You ain't hear the scream? She in the basement.
Huh?
She in the basement. She said, I'm right here in the basement. I don't know. Right here. She said, I'm right here in the basement. I'm hearing her. I'm in the basement.
You can clearly hear someone asking for help in the video, but it was later debunked by a friend of the family.
They walked past the house where there was apparently other teenagers in the house.
If you want to watch this full video, search up Treacherous Crimes on YouTube.
This mother's story is heartbreaking. It really, truly is. So hug your family more often. Tell those that you love them. You are not guaranteed every single day. You could have something horrible happen tomorrow, and I don't wish that upon anyone, not even my worst enemy. But that's life, basically. We have to come to terms with the horrific events that can happen throughout life, like these unsolved mysteries, these horrific stories. Some of them, things like this do happen, and if we are not prepared for it in our mindsets, or at least enough to say that you love your family before they leave your presence. I digress. I'm sorry.
On June 24th of 2023, I received this text message from my daughter's boyfriend. I wish I had known then the dangers that she was facing. I wish I had known then that I might never see her again. I responded to this cryptic message with more questions. I started to panic. I called the jails. I called the hospitals. She wasn't there. The next morning, I woke up to messages from her. I'm okay, Mom. Don't worry, I'm okay. At the end of our short text conversation, I told her that I loved her. I'm grateful today that her last words to me were, I love you so much more. Layla and Michael had been living with his mother for about 8 months. On Friday the 23rd, there was some type of an altercation between Layla and some family members. She packed her stuff and she left. She spent the next several days couch surfing, going from friend to group to friend group. To me, it almost seems like she was moving outside the friend circle that she shared with her boyfriend slowly. She ended up on Monday night, June 26th of 2023, in a hotel room with 2 older men. At some point during the visit, she left the hotel room. No one knows what she did or why. And then she couldn't find her way back. She couldn't remember the room number. She was knocking on the wrong doors and aggravating people. An employee at the AmeriCorps Hotel had words with her, told her she needed to calm down and stop causing problems for the residents. She then proceeded to hide in the laundry room. A little while later, the police pulled in. They weren't there for her, but she didn't know that. Witnesses say that she took off into the woods behind the AmeriCorps Hotel. The next morning, she was seen by employees on their way to work at a warehouse behind that hotel. They said that she got up, parted the grass like she was looking for something, came across the field and asked to bum a cigarette. She was never seen or heard from again after that. In the days leading up to Layla's time at the AmeriCorps, her boyfriend was still searching for her. He had put up Facebook posts, called her a missing person. He was contacting both myself and Layla's father, working us up. I felt like he was manipulating us, trying to get us to find her for him. They didn't have a very good relationship. It was rather toxic and codependent, so I was relieved. I figured she'd call when she was ready to come home. Monday night, while my daughter was sleeping in those woods, I had a conversation with her father. We talked about whether or not to call it in. I worried that calling it in might drive her deeper underground. I worried that they wouldn't take us seriously if she wasn't missing for a full 48 hours. Before we called it in, I asked him to wait until the next morning at 8 a.m. and we would call it in together. Dad couldn't sleep, so we called it in the middle of the night. And on June 27th of 2023, an investigation into the disappearance of my daughter began. Detectives went to the boyfriend's house first, sometime early in the morning, 3 a.m. Everyone was home, everyone was compliant. That Monday, I had reached out to a family member who knew a lot of the same people that Layla and Michael did, and they were able to retrace her steps from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, but we lost her on Monday. Detectives were able to fill in those gaps, telling us that she was, in fact, at the AmeriCorps Hotel the night before. At this point, we all believed that she was still holed up there, keeping away from Michael, maybe partying, who knows. Wednesday, I sent my ex-boyfriend and a couple of friends up to the hotel. I had gotten the room number where she was supposed to have been staying. They knocked on the door, no one answered. But while they were there, Michael and his friends came from around the corner like they were staking the place out because he was looking for her too. The two groups of men joined together and spent the rest of the night pounding the pavement, looking in the woods, searching for Layla. But she's nowhere to be found. Her boyfriend had access to all of her accounts and he was using them regularly to reach out to her friends. I never knew whether it was him or her on those social media accounts at any given time for weeks. A couple weeks into the investigation, I started receiving Cash App requests. On the other end was someone claiming to be my daughter and someone claiming to be her kidnapper. Send the money or you'll find her in pieces. This went on for several weeks before investigators were able to trace where they were coming from. And eventually they did. And a search warrant was issued for Michael Thompson's home. The Cash App requests were coming from her boyfriend, allegedly. It was shortly after Michael's house was raided that we were told that there was another sighting of my daughter on the 27th of June of 2023. We were told that the authorities believed that she was at the Marble Slab Creamery in the afternoon, that she was found out back, shoeless, frazzled, upset. She was offered ice cream and beverages by the woman working that day. She tried to call a friend for a ride, but the friend was too far away. It would be another 4 or 5 months before we discovered that that sighting was not credible, that the woman at the Marble Slab Creamery was not my daughter. So now we go back to ground zero. The last time anyone saw or heard from her was in a field outside the AmeriCorps Hotel between 6 and 7 a.m. on June 27th of 2023. Almost a year later, we don't have any leads. We're investigating all possible sightings. We are investigating all rumors. We are searching all rumored dumping grounds. Almost a year later, and I am not giving up. Around here, I've seen people go missing left and right, and no one ever fights. I will fight to my death for my daughter. And I can assure you, if you did something to my baby, thinking, oh, she's just a junkie that no one gives a shit about, no one will miss her, you are dead fucking wrong. I am not going to stop until I have the answers that I deserve. I am not going to stop until I have the answers her daughter deserves. So come for me. I'll be waiting.
Oliver Munson. Oliver Munson was, He loved cars. He was an arts teacher, though, and he lived in Maryland. And he met a guy named Mr. Watson. Mr. Watson, though, owned a chop shop. He owned this chop shop, and he was getting indicted about some stuff to do with it. And mysteriously, Mr. Munson went up missing, and he was supposed to testify against Mr. Watson. And Mr. Watson also had a few other witnesses go missing or unalived because they were going to be witnesses against him in his case. You know, that's just speculation. All of it's alleged. Everybody's thinking that he had something to do with it. Watch this story, though, and tell me what you think about it.
So a man would be defrauded while purchasing a car and then never be seen again after a very intense chain of events. Welcome back to Crimers. So I was actually just scrolling through TikTok and I saw some episodes on unsolved mysteries. We all know I'm an unsolved mystery lover. It's just my thing. And this case really bothered me, so I figured I'd do some more research and bring it to you. Cases like this just always give me the chills. So anyway, this was Oliver Munson, and he was just 39 years old at the time that this happened. He loved cars, he loved polishing them up, he loved getting them, back to restoration type of levels. It was just his passion in life. It was like a spare thing for him to do. And for his regular job, he was an industrial arts teacher living in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, he would unfortunately come across a very shady character by the name of Dennis Watson. And here he is. So Dennis Watson had this quote-unquote garage, which was basically just a cover-up for a chop shop. He would steal people's cars, dismantle them, sell parts, or even sell stolen cars. And that is basically what happened to Oliver Munson. Now, he had paid out some money and also given some parts in exchange for a car which he thought was legally purchased. However, this was not the case. Unfortunately, Oliver Munson's car was reported stolen, and the police ended up taking custody of the car and putting it into a storage facility. Now, Oliver was very confused when police came to his door and they informed him of what was going on. He was very hesitant to testify against Dennis Watson, but police basically told him he had no choice, so he ended up agreeing, although he was very hesitant. Oliver Munson was scheduled to testify against Dennis Watson on February 16th of 1984. Now, he would leave for work, including him carrying papers and a bagged lunch on February 13th, and never be seen again. His brother was so worried he went to his house to look for him, but found no trace of him. 3 days would pass, and his car would be found abandoned, with his lunch still in the front seat. Police were immediately suspicious of Dennis Watson, but they really had no proof. Another man who had been previously scheduled to testify against Dennis Watson in a separate case had also mysteriously been killed in a car fire. Red flags, right? And there was an eyewitness to that killing who was also going to testify against Dennis Watson, but he too mysteriously died in what appeared to have been an suspicious overdose. Red flags, my red flags are going off. So a man by the name of Hilton Solomon would come forward and say that his car was stolen on the same day that Oliver would go missing. And he would find his car 2 weeks later with a hat very similar to the one that Oliver Munson owned and was wearing the day that he disappeared. He also found video receipts with Oliver Munson's name on them, as well as bloodstains. How freaky. The police strongly believed that Oliver had been met with foul play, but they had no proof, and since the blood type was O positive, but there was no match for Oliver Munson as they didn't have a blood sample on file for him, there was just basically nothing they could do. And what makes this case even more infuriating to me is that this had no impact on Dennis Watson's case whatsoever, because he still went to jail for 10 years, and basically this was all done in vain. To date, Oliver Munson has never been seen again, and he still remains missing. How freaky is that?
Sometimes I feel like I'm sounding too robotic. I like to talk free. I like to just say what comes into my head. But you know what I found out? That's not always good.
You took it too far, man. You took it too far.
It's how you end up like people on the internet saying stupid shit and then being like, oh shit. You know? Henry McCabe. The voicemail. This voicemail that he leaves for his fiance after he goes missing is horrifying. to say the least. As if my fiance called and left me this voicemail, I would be going absolutely insane. I would probably have a literal heart attack, and I'm not even joking, because like, just listen and tell me what your thoughts are on this. Like, what do you think out of this story that really happened, and what do you think those sounds are? I would be horrified.
One of the scariest things that I've ever heard is the voicemail that Henry McCabe left his wife before he mysteriously disappeared. On the evening of September 6, 2015, Henry was partying with some friends at a club called Pavlitsky's in Minnesota. At this time, Henry's wife and 2 kids were staying with some family in California, so they weren't in town. When they were done partying, for reasons unknown, Henry's friend William dropped him off at a gas station at around 2 a.m. The following events that took place have never really been explained. At 2:28 a.m., Henry's wife gets a call from Henry, and at first it kind of seems like a pocket dial, but the sounds are literally terrifying. It sounded like he was moaning in pain, almost like growling noises, and you can't really make out what he's saying, although some believe that it sounded like he said he'd been shot. After 2 minutes of these horrifying sounds, a man yells, "Stop it," and then the call disconnects. Only part of the voicemail has ever been released. Here it is. Not long after this call, Henry also called his brother and left him a voicemail too. This time he was crying. Henry disappeared after this, and when he didn't show up for work the next day, he was reported missing to the Mounds View Police Department. At the start of the investigation, police talked with Henry's friend William, who dropped him off at the gas station that night. To their surprise, William had Henry's keys and wallet, and he says this is because he was trying to stop Henry from driving that night. William also tells the police which gas station he dropped Henry off at that night, and authorities immediately began looking for him. But after reviewing surveillance footage, it turns out that William told police the wrong gas station. Thanks to that surveillance footage, they found that William actually dropped Henry off at a Holiday gas station in the complete opposite direction in Fridley. This made more sense considering the area where his phone last pinged and sent that voicemail was in the vicinity of Creekview Park in New Brighton. So they then shifted their search area to this location, but it was like Henry vanished into thin air. There was no activity on his bank accounts, and he wasn't showing up to his job as a Department of Revenue auditor, which he loved. So that, paired with the horrifying voicemail that he left his wife that night, led authorities to believe that he was met with foul play, and even the FBI got involved. But there was literally no evidence of anything happening. There were so many searches for Henry, but every one of them turned up nothing. But then, 2 months later, someone kayaking on Rush Lake in New Brighton spotted something in the water. When police arrived, they discovered Henry's body, and he'd been in the water for quite some time. Despite his voicemail and him saying that he'd been shot, there were absolutely no signs of trauma to his body. The autopsy indicated that Henry possibly died from drowning, but as far as I can find, his manner of death remains undetermined. Some things just don't really add up in this case though, like the location of the club he was at that night, to where his phone last pinged and sent that voicemail, to where he ended up in the water. And the biggest question I have is, how did he get in the water? The gas station that he was dropped off at that night was 6 miles from the lake. Google Maps says that it would have taken him almost 2 hours to walk there, but he sent that voicemail at 2:28 in the morning, just minutes after being dropped off. If he tried to walk and got lost and just fell in the water, how did he get there so fast? And why did William drop him off at a gas station instead of his own house that night? The lake was within minutes of Henry's house, but if you remember, William kept his keys and wallet. So Henry essentially had no way of getting inside of his house, and he didn't have any identification on him if something were to happen. Those who knew Henry say he would never intentionally hurt himself. He was married for 11 years, had a job that he loved, and had 2 beautiful kids. Whatever truly happened to Henry McCabe and caused him to leave that horrifying voicemail that night remains a mystery 9 years later.
Now, this one's an old video. It's from the 90s, and this one is of this young man precisely explaining how to get flesh and tissue off of a human skull. Many speculated back in the day they didn't think it was an actual real skull, but then they had a forensic pathologist take a look at the video, and he said that it very much so is a real skull. Where did he get this skull? You know what I'm saying? You don't just acquire human skulls. And this boy is young. And I don't know, just this video has always been eerie to me, and I just want to know if resurfacing it, if any of you guys have any thoughts, you know? Now, I used to see it a long time ago all the time played, and I thought that they did find out who it was that made the video. I think Chills did something on it on YouTube. Take what I say with as much validity as you can with this situation. I don't know the whole story, so you'd have to research it. We call my mom Google because she Googles literally everything. Oh, and she does this thing, you guys, it's unhinged. She does this thing now where every time my stepdad says something as fact, my mom has to go Google it. She doesn't go out very much. I mean, it's her light of her day to prove my dad wrong, apparently. So, more power to you, Mom. Dad knows why you do it. He just thinks you're a little silly. I love my mom to death, though. My mom and I, fortunately, are best friends. And I'm very proud of that, which it is so much why I am definitely not a supporter of the whole Gypsy Rose situation. No hate towards you if you do support her, if you like her, whatever the case, whatever. I don't care what y'all want to like is what you like. You know, I can't do anything about it. But when it comes down to her and everyone like being so willing to accept her back into society and, oh, she paid her dues. Yes, she did. But at the same time, there's, I think, a limit that we should allow people to get to in success if they are capitalizing solely off of a crime that they continuously try to minimize and act like it wasn't as horrific as it was, and it was absolutely disgustingly horrific. And then for us to sit back and be like, oh, slay queen, watching her lives on TikTok and shit, it's something I'll never understand. That's an unsolved mystery to me. Maybe you guys, some of you supporters out there could explain the infatuation to me, because with everything that I've heard, I can't. Go and check out this other lady that I saw on TikTok mention that the new Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix, episode 2 is a really good, creepy one. I have not watched it myself, but just wanted to put that suggestion out there for anyone who's interested. Episode 2, Unsolved Mysteries, Netflix. There you go. Not sponsored. Wish I was.
This video is about a half-hour-long video that supposedly was sourced from a VHS tape that was found in the late 1980s or maybe even early 1990s. It was dubbed and redubbed for circulation and sale among bootleg collectors, often under the table at horror conventions or through mail-order tape trading communities.
As you might find around the jaw, it might be left there. Okay, so when you bring out the jaw, so I'll show you later. I'm in the real confidence of it.
Sometimes the tape was even sold in a video compilation along with other gruesome home videos, often bearing the title, Ensuring Your Place in Hell.
So you can lose it real fast, alright? So when you find it, okay, the jaw is usually like that, around this shape, okay? It's like
the source of the original footage, as well as the identity of the young man in the video, still remains unknown, even up to 3 decades later.
Mysterious sea beast in Indonesia. This thing is 23 meters long. They said that many people were going missing when they were going swimming in the river in Indonesia, and then they found this creature. What do you think this is? You know what I think? Holy shit! That's what I think.
What the heck is this?
Mysterious creature floats in a river near a village in Indonesia. measuring at 23 meters long and 4 meters wide. It is said that many people were going missing when they went into the river.
I have no words. I'm never swimming ever again. No. If you want more unsolved mysteries, then check out my YouTube video I just dropped, this one, and we talk about a whole bunch of scary unsolved cases. Link in bio.
PDF file ring. Gross. It's an island made by Francis Sheldon, not Jeffrey Epstein. Don't be confused. This is to bring awareness to you guys that this kind of shit does exist. These kind of people do exist out there, and they will do whatever they have to fulfill their needs, wants, fantasies, desires, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's just awful and disgusting. Watch this video, though. Be aware of your surroundings. Watch your babies. Just... oh.
Visiting this place could get you killed. This is Pedophile Island, North Fox Island in Michigan. This island has an airstrip built on it by the pedophile owner that he used to fly children in and out of here back in the 1970s. We had a flight set up to get there with people that were local, and they canceled on us 2 days in a row. They even claimed that the runway was going to be too muddy. So instead of giving up, we found someone with a boat and we made our way out there. And guess what? Once we got out to the island, it wasn't muddy at all. Now, this ring was ran by a man named Francis Sheldon. And in these very rooms and cabins, multiple children were assaulted and photographed and videotaped while these assaults were happening. These videos and photos were then sold into pedophile rings all across America. And before Francis Sheldon could be arrested, he took off from this island on his private plane using this very airstrip, and he fled to Amsterdam. He was never arrested. In fact, only one guy was ever arrested connected to this ring, and he served 2 years in prison before getting out and assaulting another child. This pedophile ring is also closely tied to the Oakland County child killings, and we explored all of this in my newest documentary on YouTube. It's on there now if you want to watch.
Bonus video. Bonus video. I get into the bonus videos, guys. Anyways, footsteps coming up from the woods to their back door, and then their maid quits because she hears demonic sounds in the house, and then all of a sudden everyone in the house is let out to the barn and unalived. Who did it? Was it a family member? No, because all of them were there unalived. So who came in from the woods? Did somebody hide in their home? Was it a demon? What do you think? Let me know what your speculations are, you guys. And today that brings me to the end of this video, but I did get a few requests to start making my videos longer, which I will do most definitely. It's just that I wasn't sure if anybody wanted longer videos or not. I have ghost stories up the wazoo, and I'm also going to start ghost hunting here soon. Like I said, I started a Patreon though and everything to help me raise the money to get the equipment that I need. So go check me out on Patreon at babygirl19833. I would love to see you there. Yeah, so I'm going to be posting vlogs, dog videos, all the things. I'm going to put links to all my other social medias in the description below. I would love it if you followed and subscribed and did all the things there as well. And I just appreciate your guys' time. I'm so grateful that people watch and like these videos and comment, and I get to talk back and forth with you guys. It's just wonderful. And so I am so excited every day to keep making fresh content, to keep pushing it myself out there to you guys, because I don't care if you like seeing my damn face. I'm going to show you my damn face just like all of them do, like Jeffree Star, every damn one of them out there. You don't want to see their faces all the time, guaranteed, but you do, and that's how it's going to be with me. Look at my damn face and love it. Don't be assholes out there, guys. I love you with all my heart. Mwah.
It's caught in the crossfire. caught in the